Infamous Windsor bar and a typo on its exterior sign. The Coronation Tavern stood at the corner of Riverside Drive and Curry Avenue. Built in the early 1920s, the establishment was originally called the Riverview. By 1945, the bar was called the Coronation Hotel, and then in 1950, it changed again to the Coronation House Hotel. It was right on Riverside Drive at a time when the government docks were still on the riverfront, so it was frequented by dock workers as well as neighborhood people. By the late 1970s, the Coronation House was a disco dive bar with an element of bikers attending. But it was still a well-established local watering hole that attracted casual drinkers from the surrounding neighborhood. And it was close enough to the University of Windsor that students went there often. Stella Martinick was the owner of the Coronation Tavern. By the early 1980s, Stella was in her 70s and was dealing with the rowdy elements that frequented her bar. And by all accounts, Stella managed to hold her own with the group. Stella always had a dog, and no matter what, she always gave the dog the same name, Bruce or Brucey. To give you an idea of what kind of a bar the Coronation Tavern was, in this photo, you can see a beagle walking out of the front door. Maybe that's Stella's dog, Brucey. In this photo, if you look closely, you can see two tiny feet behind the open door. There's a story that by the late 1970s, bar owner Stella Martinick wanted to spruce up the exterior of the building with a fresh coat of paint. Stella decided to hire one of the bar's regulars to paint the building and repaint the Coronation bar sign while he was at it. The man took the job possibly to pay off an overdue bar tab. Legend has it that the man, although a good painter, was not very good at spelling, and while redoing the sign, he unfortunately misspelled Coronation Tavern as Cornation Tavens. The sign was done, and there was little that owner Stella could do about it. It was not in the budget to repaint the misspelled sign. Well, a very interesting thing happened to the Coronation Tavern in the early 1980s. It started to host punk rock music shows. Punk bands from all over Canada and the United States started to play punk shows at the Coronation Tavern. It was the perfect venue for these types of shows, and well-known punk and hardcore groups played there in the early 1980s. Is this stage being held up with milk crates? It sure looks like it. This band put their equipment on beer cases. The poster reads, "Stella is not crazed, beer is cold, and air conditioning is working." Bands like The Motives, The Pathetic, DOA, SOS, Necros, The Enemies, The Gerbils, The Tumors, Bunny Game, all played the Coronation Tavern. Flash forward decades, and a Windsor filmmaker was making a documentary about the Detroit hardcore punk scene, and during production, he put out a call for old photos of the bar sign with the typos on it. Windsorites, including myself, were asked to try to track down a photo of the misspelled sign. We looked through local archives, the Windsor Star, we asked people from the neighborhood if they had any photos of the bar with the misspelled signage, but nothing. We came up dry. Flash forward 3 years to last week, and I was emailing back and forth with a friend named Malcolm Campbell. We were talking about something completely unrelated. At the end of the email, Malcolm attached a photo. Malcolm used to go for walks by the Detroit River before he started his shifts at the local CBC station, and he always had his camera with him. One day, he noticed a funny sign on a local tavern, and he took this photo. Wow. There it was, a photo of the Coronation Tavern with the misspelled sign. Malcolm estimates that the photo was taken in the late 70s or early 80s, just a little bit before the Coronation Tavern became the birthplace of the Detroit hardcore music scene. By the mid-1980s, the bar was closed for good, and as the story goes, a pair of neighborhood kids found a set of keys in the back parking lot. The kids tested the keys on the back door of the bar to see if one of them would unlock the door. And it did. They let themselves in to explore, and eventually the two boys set the bar on fire and gutted it. It was big news at the time, and the two boys were eventually caught by police. The structure of the Coronation Tavern was eventually demolished, and a new building was put up at the corner of Riverside and Curry. Today, it's an eye doctor's office. A funny thing to me is that if the sign painter had just taken the time to simply look around the corner of the building, he would have seen not one but two examples of the name Coronation Tavern spelled correctly. The front sign and the sign over the door. The car driving by the front of the building is a Chrysler Cordoba. And if you look closely at Malcolm's photo, it looks like there's a dog in this doorway as well. For more historical Windsor videos, please check out my YouTube channel, Michael Evans, Windsor, Ontario, or Facebook, It Happened in Windsor. What are your memories of the Coronation Tavern? Did you ever go there? What bands did you see? Let me know in the comment section.